So a tweet came out. This is 2 weeks ago. Soft Ground Wrestling Uganda posts a picture of a ring. And they say, SGW wishes to apologize for the ring arrival delays. Still, man, this is 2 weeks ago. And I looked yesterday, and there were people like, where's the ring? And they were responding to them like, you'll be proven wrong soon, etc., etc. But anyways, so they're still on about, publicly, they're still on about this ring. Still hasn't arrived. Anyway, sorry. We are so much concerned about your reviews. Keep calm. We promise to display it ASAP. LOL, Pro Wrestling Maniacs. Keep supporting SGW Uganda. And then somebody quote tweeted it and said they're saying that they bought this particular 20 by 20 ring. This is actually a 16 by 16 ring, is listed in USA Fight Shop, and it's just a picture lifted from this website. And they've been saying all this time there was a problem with money transferring and transporting the ring, and now they can just buy a ring from the US out of nowhere for $10,000. This person's pointing out, right? Duke, what do you make of all this? Clearly shenanigans going on, correct?
Absolutely shenanigans. And that international crime boss, Bombash Daniel, aka Daniel Bomba, his brother's already in jail, and Bombash will be joining his brother soon enough. Okay, that's coming. He's actively being investigated because there's concern that he's actually laundering money for some pretty unsavory people who may have ties to terrorism. Okay, so I just said all that out loud publicly. And that's information.
Duke said all that, but
absolutely. And that's information that I received there. So I'm telling you, Bombash Daniel, you're actively being investigated, and the best part about it is they already have plenty on you, man. You know what I mean? The jig is up. So now it's just a case of how bad are you going to make it, right? So let me make that clear. Cody Rhodes is not buying these folks a ring. Okay, he's been contacted enough times. It's very clear that this is a scam. He's been made aware of the article. He's been made aware of everything we've said on social media and through the podcasting. There's no way he's buying those folks a ring, which is why it hasn't happened yet, right? So taking photos, off the internet and making these crazy claims is just incredible to me. And it just further shows how much of a scam these guys are. But here's the worst part. You don't even have a place to store the ring. You don't even have a way to repair the ring when it ultimately, things start falling apart, which happens all the time. It's a wrestling ring. You bounce enough times on the ropes, you're going to have to replace the ropes. You get slammed on the canvas enough time, the canvas will tear and all that. Like, these things happen. They have no way of maintaining a ring. Why the hell would they need a ring at this point? $10,000 should be able to feed them for a little while, or at least get real beds or something like that, something that they still don't have technically. So the whole jig is up, and the amount of money that was going into them has slowed down tremendously, right? So
where was it coming from before? Sorry, Duke. Where was the money coming from before?
Donations from all of these bleeding heart wrestling fans.
Okay.
Who were still trying to support them. I know that Tate Mayfair's the UK pro wrestler. He recently sent them the money that he had raised for them. And it was only a couple of grand, but still, it was something. He recently sent that over to them. But that's been the biggest piece of change that they've received ever since we blew the whistle on these folks, right? Yeah. So one of the things that's been happening now is they've been actively targeting anyone who has reached out to folks like myself and spoken out against them. So these are people who were in soft ground wrestling previously and then chose to speak out, because we did a whole spaces on them where we had some speakers come out. They put out a video saying, we were there for them only to sell us like sheet. Not the other word, but sheet, SHEET. Mm-hmm. God bless them. One of the things that Bombash Daniel loves to say is God will bless you real soon. That's his way of threatening to do harm to people.
Wow.
So he has a video where he shows their faces and literally highlights them. And at the end of the video, it says F you, and he actually spells out the word. So this guy's actively threatening these folks who have spoken out from the inside, and their safety is definitely in jeopardy because, Bombash Daniel and his brother, this is what they do. They beat people up, they extort them, they hurt them, they run schemes, and they're tied to some pretty bad dudes, as the orange hair guy out here running for president would say. So, folks, make no mistake about it. All of the scumbags who did not do their due diligence and supported this nonsense, you supported an international crime boss who is still running wild and who is now getting more volatile because he's not receiving the scam money that he was getting before, and he probably has to answer to somebody over that. Where's the money? You know what I mean? So this is a bigger deal than these folks even realize. And shame on the scumbags over at Fightful in particular who boosted this nonsense, right? I am all over them on this. You boosted this Sean Ross Sapp and all of the scumbags. What's the girl's name with the Kate girl, whatever her name is? All you goofballs boosted this. And this guy is getting worse and worse. And I'm telling you right now, the first time somebody gets hurt and we can directly link it to it, I'm putting that right on you folks. You did this to them. That's on your hands.
Damn.
And you're going to deal with it. Simple as that.
So we have guys like Will Ospreay, I think, is still, or maybe he's not. Maybe I don't know, but I still see Soft Ground Uganda because I still follow them and I get a kick, dude. I get a kick out of watching their wrestling and stuff on Twitter. I won't lie, I enjoy it. I think it's unique. Like we talked about it last show, I feel like a ring sort of takes away their identity too. If we're gonna make it about the wrestling here, like it's Soft Ground Wrestling. Why put him in a ring? Anyways, Will Ospreay, I think, is still like, I'm gonna come wrestle there or whatever. What do you make of wrestlers still? Like, is everyone aware of this, or is this still a pretty down low type of thing?
There is not a single wrestler who has boosted this group who has not been made aware of this directly. Okay, and you could just go into the comments and you could see it. They've all been tagged. They've all been reached out to. It's impossible for them to not have seen this. So anyone who continues to support them, you're supporting somebody who potentially is tied to terrorism. We know that he's an international crime boss already. That's a fact. So you're already supporting this criminal doing these things, but you're supporting something that could be even worse than that. So, for Will Ospreay, which I don't really have much of an opinion on him at all, I think he's taken too many. He said it himself that he's taken too many hits to the head. So, you know what I mean? How much can I blame him for the poor decision making that he makes? The fact still remains, though, buddy, you were told many times over that this was not legitimate. If you're still tweeting in support of this nonsense,
I don't know if it's him or if it's like Soft Ground still tagging him, because they still talk about Cody. If people are like, well, where's the ring? You guys still don't have a ring. Cody would be disappointed in...
Cody has not mentioned him in months.
I know, but that's what they say. So I apologize. I'm not saying Will Ospreay's out there.
Hold on a second, though, Phil. Yeah. This is important, though. Cody has not mentioned him in months. He literally stopped.
Absolutely.
Stop.
Yeah, and right? I wanted to just say that, like, I don't mean to, the reason I brought that up was because I just wanted to say, like, I don't mean to say Ospreay's actively, like, I'm going to go out there and wrestle still, bruv. I don't know, but I know they're still mentioning him, at least, and so the last I saw, though, Ospreay was going to go out there and have a match. I've heard no updates since, so that's why I just sort of brought him up, because I see Soft Ground responding using, like, Cody and Will, and it's like, maybe someone can fact check me on that. I don't know if Will's brought them up in months either, but the last I saw fairly recently, he was going to go have a match there or whatever. And we haven't heard anybody really publicly, other than Duke, come out and like, we denounce this thing. Not that even I care. I don't need anyone to denounce Soft Ground Uganda wrestling. You know what I mean? I don't even have an agenda. I'm not out to get them. I'm just interested in the information. I'm not out here trying to do a gotcha on anyone or anything. And some people might play devil's advocate, and I'll play devil's advocate to you, Duke. The wrestling's entertaining. They're training people seemingly properly. I mean, some of the guys, I mean, yeah, they're just taking bumps on mud and everything, right? But are these wrestlers, like the athletes, let's call them, the ring announcers, and these folk that are involved in the actual promotion itself, if you can call it that, because like they don't sell tickets and stuff like that, no? They just film content for social media, right? So are those people, though, Just to play devil's advocate to your argument or whatever, like, are they not bettering their lives? Are they not having fun wrestling? Do you have any insight on that? Is that not a good thing for them? Like, are they not benefiting from this whatsoever? Why would so many stay involved if they're not? Aren't there the wrestlers and I guess the fans and stuff like that benefiting? Can you shed insight on that? Do you understand what I'm getting at?
I know exactly what you're getting at.
Yeah. You know, like the wrestlers, there's people wrestling. They look in great shape and they're doing something. They look like they're having a great time. I mean, is it all so bad, or what are your thoughts on that, I guess?
So there's a few things I want to say, because you're asking a great question that has a lot of nuance to it. Number one, they're not wrestlers. Okay. They have never been to a reputable training school where they can learn how to be wrestlers and learn how to take care of each other and work in a safe and proper manner, right? So we got to start there. They are not wrestlers. These are people performing wrestling moves and putting it online. Doesn't make you a wrestler. Just because you could fry an egg doesn't mean you did it right, and it certainly doesn't make you a chef. All right, so we got to make sure we're clear on that. That's number one. Number two, I have never, ever said that I have an issue with these performers. That's what I call them. I don't call them wrestlers. They're performers. I don't have an issue with them, because I understand, after talking to so many of them publicly and privately, and you folks can look all this stuff up, at least the public parts, I have a pretty good idea of what's going on here. Bombash Daniel has them call him Papa. He acts as if he's some paternal figure that they are indebted to. All right. So here's number one. A lot of these folks that you see, first of all, they're not orphans. They're adults for the most part, right? They're not old enough to be classified as orphans. So we got to make sure we're clear on that. And that's in Uganda. I looked up the legal definition of what an orphan is over there. A lot of these folks have jobs, and they pay him to, quote unquote, wrestle in soft ground wrestling, right?
Oh, so they're not getting paid. They're paying.
They do not get a dime from this guy.
Oh, okay.
The most that they have ever received from him are cell phones, which he controls because he's the one paying the bill. And that's how you have a lot of these folks who have social media accounts, because he personally set them up. And at any time, he can log into those accounts and make it seem like everything is okay. Right? See, right. These folks have reached out to me. So I actually know what's really going on. And the ones who've broken away from him, they got a lot to say. Some of these folks are terrified of this guy, which is why they can't just, completely leave, because they're afraid of what's going to happen. And then, he's plying some of these young ladies with alcohol and drugs and doing God knows what with them. A young lady is the one who told me that and showed me some pretty credible evidence on that part there of some of the things that he's up to as it pertains to the young ladies that you see there. So, who's making money off of the YouTube? I don't know if it's monetized or not, but all of that's going to Bombash Daniel, whatever that is, right? In terms of who the soft ground wrestling performers are, who are they? That's a great question. Who are they? And what is the revenue stream that can be directed directly to them? I like you, such and such wrestler. I'm going to give you a couple of bucks because I love that performance. Doesn't exist. Yeah. He controls everything. So it's this one international crime boss preying on all of these folks. And he's promising them that, yes, I'm going to find a way to make you a wrestling star, but it's not possible with the infrastructure that he has in place, or lack thereof, I should say. They don't have paying fans. They don't have events where they can go into a building and perform and things like that, and you sell tickets. None of that exists. So how? How are they making money? Well, they're not. Simple as that.
I assumed that they were, splitting up just taking the social media revenue and then just putting it back into funding the thing or whatever, and that's the thing. I'm so uneducated on all this stuff. Like, I don't know how far an American dollar goes in Uganda or whatever.
Very far. Right? So very far.
Exactly. I mean, that's all I can assume. So I'm like, they're probably taking, money from the social media or whatever donations. They're just funding it back into this thing. And, it just seems on the surface, it doesn't seem like it could be so dark and seedy, and I don't know. It feels to me like you can make a whole Netflix documentary about this thing. Could happen.
It's going to be incredible.
Yeah,
it will happen, and it's going to be incredible, and I'm going to be involved in it. And let me just make sure people understand. Bombash Daniel's brother is currently in jail. It's the biggest trial going on in Uganda right now for beating up a rich guy and extorting him and what have you. And it's not the first person he's done it to. These are gangsters. Yeah. This isn't some happy-go-lucky, nice people trying to put something together and start a wrestling industry in Uganda. No, these are gangsters who found a hustle, and they preyed upon the heartstrings of well-intentioned people who are giving their hard-earned money to something that's going to one guy who's then using that money for God knows what. So, man. You know what I mean? So again, I can't wait to hear some of these goofballs who boosted this nonsense and the excuses they're going to come up with, because quite frankly, especially those of you who are in quote unquote media, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. Simple as that, full stop. Don't tell me about, well, so-and-so did this and so-and-so's are that and so-and-so's friends with this one. Don't hide from the fact that you literally help support and fund an international crime boss who very well could be laundering money for terrorists in Uganda, of all places. Give me a break.
This is also intense for my comedy wrestling podcast. I love it though, Duke. Geez, well, I mean, yeah, I guess there's an update as best as we can give you. Again, we're not the news over here, but if you want to know like more in depth, Duke breaks this stuff down way more in depth. Here, they have a Hamas Diamond shirt. So here's a soft ground wrestling shirt for a particular wrestler.
So hold on a second, Phil. Let's keep that up for a second. I want to point something out to you. That Hamas Diamond shirt, right? Yeah. Look at the website that you have to go to in order to get the shirt, right?
altwrestlingtees.com. Also, the SGW logo just looks like the AEW logo.
Exactly. So here's the interesting part about that. They were originally signed to For Your Wear, which is owned by a guy who goes by Blue Magic. He's a T-shirt designer, and he's actually done some things with the WWE. He's actually made some designs that they picked up and what have you. So he's a reputable designer. I want to make sure I give Blue proper credit here. But unfortunately for Blue, he did a deal with Soft Ground Wrestling, and he was selling their original T-shirts through his site. And when everything finally came crashing down, the articles and my podcast and everything kind of coming out at once, For Your Wear had to put up a statement saying that they were no longer going to do business with Soft Ground Wrestling. So that's why you have this random no-name website that's selling their T-shirts now.
Okay.
It's a joke. It's all a joke.
See, you're always... and then also, they jumped on, I believe, as Soft Ground Uganda, they tweeted something out. They sort of jumped on Triple H as far as the, like not featuring any like single male black talent on WWE PLEs. And I don't know, they sort of jumped on that, and then people jumped on them. They're like, well, hey, before you guys talk about anyone else, where's your ring, kind of thing. So I don't know. It's messy. This is messy over here. This altwrestlingtees.com. Let me just maybe I could even just like look it up on a window over here quickly and just see.
I guarantee you it is not anything reputable.
We might as well do the diligence while we're sitting. It's not secure. I'm going to exit. So
yep. So there it is. There it is. There it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Folks, I know there's a lot of people who may not be familiar with me who hear me and be like, wow, this guy's saying some stuff. And I don't know, man. Could this possibly be true? And then look at that. Phil just starts typing in the damn web domain and finds out it's not. Like literally right after I said it's not reputable. There it is.
Yeah, I had an option to continue or not, and it was like, it's a shop, whatever, and I'm just like, I ain't going to continue on that.
Listen, Phil, you would be out in Uganda spending all kinds of money, and you'd be like, what? I've never even left the country. What do you mean?
Oh, man. Okay. And yeah, if you guys want more info on all this, just keep in touch with Duke, man. He is dropping the bombs when it comes to all this. So